Here at Wairewa, Tuna is one of our mainstays for our mahi kakai. From January to April, whānau come from all around Te Waiponamu, even from overseas, to continue the practice of gathering eels on the drains at a birdlings flat. Ko te upoko o Tahu Mahinga te mauka, ko Ōkana te awa, ko Wairewa te roto, ko Urua o te waka, ko Kātiri kehu kati mako, ka hapū, ko Ngāi Tahu kāti mamoi, me waitaha ka iwi, ko Iaean Cranwell, tōku kua. When I was a little fella, I used to live in Werribee, Australia, just out of Melbourne. My grandmother came over and I remember her brushing my hair when I was about 4 years old, and she talked about, Te Waiponamu, the South Island. She talked about Little River, Kaikoura, and just her connection to this area and just the stories, and it kind of just resonated in me. It kind of sunk deep into my heart to know that we're from here. And then when I finished my university degree, I wanted to come back, and we arrived at the Waitangi Marae. Sitting there one night, one of the kai hoi leaned over and asked me a question. He goes, "No hia koe?" And I just shook my head and he goes, "Ko te hia tō maunga." So he asked where I was from, "What's your mountain?" And I couldn't answer him. And he goes, "The first thing you need to do is you need to go and find where your mountain is, your river, your lake, and find out, the in-depth story of who you are. I mean, you're Māori, but without knowing who you are, you need that sense of place, a place of belonging." I met Uncle France and Bill Rouse. Bill Rouse and Anna Rouse ended up being some of the ones who actually took me down to the drains and showed me the start of the process in catching eels. Taku mātou nei ka taki wiwini, taku mātou nei ka taki wāwana, taku mātou nei ka hika ka mate rā. Ara mai e te hau e ki taku nei ko aua. Tara wiwini, tara wāwana, kia ai he whakatau ka mau. Tara wiwini, tara wāwana e tua peka ki Wairewa e. I get my best sleep down in the pārua, in the shingle pits. Before you go down, you should go down and clean it out, make sure that the pārua walls are up. There's good access for the tuna to get into the drains, into the ko awa. You get there early, move to the front of the drain, settle down and just relax. And if you're lucky enough, you're joined by someone, you can, a good kōrero. You can talk a lot of BS sometimes, but that's all part of it. You talk about how many got away, or the time that the drains were black, teeming with tuna, and that was last week. Where were you? But for me, it's that connection, following in the footsteps of your ancestors. Because 100 years ago, 150 years ago, our great-great-grandfathers were lying down in those shingle pits at the same thing, looking up the stars. The stars haven't moved. And they're still there, the mountains are still there, but when you're lying down there looking up the stars, you could be there 150 years ago and you could be there now. As soon as they either threatened or feel the gaff or something come on them, they produce their huari, their slime, their defence mechanism. You ever try to pick up a tuna with, as soon as they've been frightened, it's pretty hard because it just slips through your fingers. We actually put the eels in this tub and we put salt on top. And what the salt does as well, you can see it turns the slime into quite a manageable product, I suppose, to take off. Some people used to put paper towels, newspaper around them, and then at night and in the morning take it off because the dew was supposed to be wet and all the slime would come off that. And then just give it give the eel a bit of a clean. Get any excess huari off. And then we hang it on the whata and just give it a wipe down. We want to hang them here for a while. We're going to cut the tails off and bleed them. It'll stiffen up the body. You need it quite stiff to so you can, when you split them, when you pāwhara, that you can actually hold them and then they're not squirming around. The first step now is to chop the head off. Next you can see the backbone, and there's actually a V. So what you try to do is cut in so you get into the innards and then run your knife along the backbone. The Mahinga Kai was one of the tall trees of the Ngāi Tahu claim. It was the 9th tall tree. It was what really the claim was built on. There was the 8 land purchases, but also Mahinga Kai. And what does that mean? It means gathering resources for your people, feeding our family, putting food on the table for us and our children after us. Our lake closed off in about the 1860s, and with the deforestation in its catchment, when it rained, a lot of sediment ended up washing into the lake, so the lake's become a sink. Just filled up with all the nutrients runoff from the catchment. This is a volcanic catchment, so there's a lot of natural phosphates flowing into the lake. And with the lake getting shallower because of the sedimentation coming up, the lake starts to get warmer, and with the lake getting warmer and with a bit of salinity coming in from the sea, that's a perfect environment for Nodulera spermagema to bloom. That is a blue-green algae. When it does bloom, it releases a filament and it turns the lake green. In 2005, 2006, we had one of probably the worst blooms we've seen in a while, and it killed about 2,000 eels. Those eels, when the filament's released, it gets stuck into their gills, and when they get stuck in the gills, they can't breathe. Nothing was being done by the statutory authorities. People were saying the lake was dying, but we didn't want to believe that here. One of our ideas was a permanent opening. Permanent opening was for the eels and the Mahinga Kai, for the pātiki, for the inaka, for the tuna, for recruitment and the migration. We've created a canal from the lake to there to open it up to allow access, if we're possible, permanent opening. This year I had my kids on stand-up paddle boards. We paddled across the lake, they fell in, they swam. I actually dived into the middle of the lake in the middle of summer to have a look down. You could see fish swimming in between the macrophytes, so the water quality has come back. So we really have to work with the statutory authority to say, listen, in springtime we need the lake at 2.8 to 3 metres height. So therefore over the summer there'll be a lot of fish returning into the lake. And for the next generation, that they will have eels on their dinner plates. We're lucky enough, Charisma Rangipuna has done a whakatauki. It says, ka haha te tuna ki te roto, ka haha te reo ki te kaika, ka haha te takata ki te whenua. If there's no tuna in the lake, there'll be no language resounding in the house, there'll be no people on the land. If the tuna are plentiful, you'll hear the language and you'll see the people. That's why we're here. We need to look after the tuna so there's enough tuna in this lake to hear the language, to hear the kōrero about the tuna, to hear the people laughing on the whenua and looking after our land as well.